I noticed you were focusing on the 2 weeks. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, the really only significant data that we have right now. Don't go back to the person that had it 3 months ago. And unfortunately, don't go back to somebody who's passed away because they can't spread the virus, obviously. But 2 weeks, we've got to look at the 2 weeks period. That's the significant part, isn't it?
You have to focus on your opponent. When you play in ball, you see the ball, you hit the ball. When you're in football and you played, they hand the ball off to the running back and you're on defense, you go after that guy. Mm-hmm. Seeing the ball and tackling the ball carrier is who has had COVID in the last 14 days. Now, according to the CDC guidelines just released on July 24th, you see the number 10 days. If you're having a 10% positivity rate or less, then that means you're appropriately screening the population for those asymptomatics you may be concerned about.
Would you take hydroxychloroquine?
You know, President Trump took it.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I'm in a little unique position because I have 2 family members that are on the front line in a major city, New Orleans. My wife's a nurse, and my daughter is a first-year intern in an internal medicine program. Mm-hmm. And I consider myself the least at risk compared to them two. Mm-hmm. So what I would tell you is my arthritis has been doing really well the last 12 weeks. My wife's too.
You just answered my question.
All right.
All right. Good deal.
What my thoughts would be about the testing is when you have a pandemic, the rules are thrown out. And some forms of testing, like it was alluded to in March, they may take so long that by the time that you get the results back, or there's not enough of that type of testing capability available, you can't make decisions on patient care. So what you want to do, from what I understand, would be to develop a test that is highly accurate enough, though it may not be perfect, to make decisions and guide you during a pandemic. It's kind of like when Pearl Harbor got bombed in World War II. You don't have solutions that you can take 2 or 3 years to develop. Mm-hmm. You need to mobilize your entire nation's military and industrial complex and healthcare field to help as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. And a great job's been done in the United States.
You know, it's hydroxychloroquine. Me and you have had a lot of discussions on it. Dr. Bobby Haydell was on talking about hydroxychloroquine. But we've heard other national doctors come on and say, we've treated all kind of patients for things. We've had them on this medicine for a long time, and none of those specific sectors of patients came down with COVID-19. So obviously, that's a mixed message being sent to people all over the place. And to be honest, people are confused, and people who would want to take hydroxychloroquine, first of all, are scared because on a national media hype, you're almost being told that if you take it, you're going to have a massive heart attack. But aren't they using higher doses in coming up with that? And what's your thought on that? Can you sort of rally us on that a little bit?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask that.
Is that a tough one?
It's easy.
Okay. All right.
The person who is a salt of the earth person in Terrebonne Parish, who's working to take care of his wife, kids, and family, and a wife may work, and they don't watch the national media much because they don't have time. And they may say, well, you know what? I got COVID. Let me talk to my family doctor from Grand Isle, Lafourche, Terrebonne Parish, that they've been practicing for 40, 60 years, their families. Or I got a really good family doctor that I trust and has a great reputation. I'm just going to talk to him. If that's your case, God bless you, because you're not going to be confused by national media. Mm-hmm. There's a scientific reason, you could even say, for not looking at the conflicts that are going on in the national media. So we talked about the person who's blessed because they don't look at the national media because they're too busy surviving in South Louisiana and providing for their families. Now there's another way to look at it, a scientific reason that you wouldn't look at what's going on in the national media. But you could say that Terrebonne Parish in the Bayou region is unique. We have our own demographics. We have our own long history with cinchona bark to quinine to President hydroxychloroquine. The strains of the virus may be slightly different here, so it's your docs in this community that you can trust can give you the best example of what's working here. Now that's a scientific reason you wouldn't look in the national media. I haven't seen the HTV politicize this. I haven't seen physicians in the Tri-Parish area who I think are the best in the United States as far as the way they care for their people. I haven't seen them politicize this. Then there's a third reason. I can tell you how people of a faith-based could look at why you shouldn't look at the national media. I was in Mass this morning, and Father who was celebrating Mass, the first reading talked about the prophet Jeremiah was going around Israel, and this is how faith-based people could look at this, and say, he was telling the people of Israel they needed to repent or they would go into captivity. Now, at the same time that Jeremiah is doing this, there's someone else going around Israel called Hananiah who's saying the exact opposite to the people. And Jeremiah is looking at the Lord like, hey, can I have a little help here? And believe me, Hananiah was taken care of. But I heard the explanation that I had never known, how a faith-based person would look at it, talked about what is a false prophet, or what would be false prophecy. Now remember, this is just what I heard today, how people who look at things through a spiritual prism would view this. And he said that false prophecy is anything other than the word of the Lord. Now, it could be human error, or there could be an enemy that's putting that message in there. And when you see the conflicting messages nationally, then you know there's something of concern. You don't know who to believe. And what Father said today was that, first of all, there's the media outlets in New York and Washington. First of all, you never hear anything that would be consistent with the word of the Lord or faith. Nothing. And he said, anything else, all other viewpoints are out there on the national media. So it's when you're looking at every subject, you're beat over the head with nothing that would be consistent with the principles of people of faith. And anything else is reported on, and anything else goes, then from what I heard this morning, the spiritual person, whoever looks through things in that prism, would say, you know what, I think I need to not be watching that. And there's even a secular term for that now, and it's called fear porn. You probably heard the term, fear porn, fear pornography. So that's how we talked about how I think the salt of the earth person who's working hard to support his family and never looks at the national media, great for you. The person that looks at it from a scientific basis would be drawn to go speak with his local healthcare community. And even the way faith-based people would look at it, they would look at that and say, I think I need to go to people in my local community that I trust. You know, so however a person looks at those issues, what prism, it comes back to the same answer.
Yeah.
And your local physicians in your local community should be able to give you opinions on hydroxychloroquine and if you're a candidate or you may need it.